Hey everyone, my name's Josh and today you're watching my latest do-it-yourself video. If you like what you see today, click subscribe. There's much more to come. Thanks and have a great day. Today we're going to be working on a 2009 Toyota Tacoma V6 and we're going to replace the spark plugs. Cost savings, $200 to $250 in labor. Let's get started.
The first thing we need are tools. Here we have a 3/8 ratchet, a 4-inch 3/8 extension, two 6-inch 3/8 extensions, one 5/8 spark plug socket, one 12mm socket, one 10mm socket, and two flathead screwdrivers, one small and one large. Now let's look at our parts. Here we have 6 NGK iridium spark plugs, one pack of dielectric connector grease, and one pack of anti-seize thread lubricant. All of these parts can be purchased for about $57 from your local auto parts store. Now let's get started. The first thing you want to do before working on any vehicle is disconnect the negative battery cable and set it out of the way so that it won't come in contact with the battery terminal. This can be done using your ratchet and a 10mm socket. Today we're going to start our project on the passenger side of the engine. The first thing we want to do is grab our ratchet and our 10mm socket and loosen the air intake hose from the air filter cover. Just set it aside out of the way. Now remove the air filter cover by releasing the latches in the front. There are 2 of them. Once that's done, the air filter cover will just pivot right off. Now we'll disconnect the electrical plugs from the spark plug coils themselves. You may need to use your small flathead screwdriver in order to help release them. Using the ratchet, 10mm socket with a 6-inch extension, unbolt all 3 spark plug coil bolts. Release your inner Superman to unscrew things this fast. To remove the coil packs, gently wiggle them back and forth and pull up at the same time. Each coil pack has a rubber O-ring that you don't want to lose. They're held on by 2 tabs that are on the coil pack itself. You can easily see that here. Here's a quick look at the spark plugs inside the engine. This is the 5/8 spark plug socket. As you can see inside, it has a rubber grommet to hold on to the spark plugs so you can get them down into the engine without dropping them. Here we can see how the spark plug fits into the spark plug socket itself. And it won't slip out. We're going to use that special 5/8 spark plug socket in order to remove the old spark plugs first. Turn left or counterclockwise to undo. Remember the rule, lefty-loosey, righty-tighty. Who doesn't like Superman? Here's a good look at the old spark plug with the tip all burnt up. Let's have a look at the brand new spark plug. These spark plugs come pre-gapped, so you don't have to gap them. Before we install the new spark plugs, we need to add the anti-seize thread lubricant to each of the threads. This will ensure that we'll be able to remove the spark plugs later on when we need to replace them again. Apply the anti-seize thread lubricant liberally to each of the spark plugs. Be sure not to apply any to the tip of the spark plug. If you do, simply wipe it off. Do all 6 spark plugs so you only make a mess once. Start with a clean work area in order to apply the dielectric grease. Apply the dielectric grease to the tip of each of the spark plugs liberally. Dielectric grease is a grease that allows electricity to flow through it. Insert the spark plug into the 5/8 spark plug socket and insert the socket into the engine. It is extremely important to hand tighten each of the spark plugs before using your ratchet to tighten them down. If you have one, use a torque wrench to torque down the spark plugs to 14 foot-pounds. Here we will simply use our ratchet to tighten the spark plugs into the engine. By hand threading the spark plugs into the engine, we ensure there is no cross-threading of the threads. Before reinstalling the coils, wipe them down and clean them off. No special cleaners are needed for this process. To reinstall the coil packs, simply place them back into the engine and match up the bolt hole. Reinstall the coil pack bolts and hand tighten them to ensure we don't cross thread. Use the ratchet with the 10mm socket to tighten down the coil pack bolts. Be sure not to over-tighten them. Reconnect the electrical plugs to each of the coil packs, ensuring that they snap back into place. Now we can reinstall the air filter cover. Seat the back hooks first, then pivot the cover into position and clamp the front clasps. Now reinstall the air intake hose back onto the air filter cover. Slide it into place and tighten down the 10mm bolt using the 10mm socket with your ratchet. Be sure not to over tighten. Now we'll start work on the driver's side of the vehicle. First, we need to remove the engine beautification cover using our ratchet and 10mm socket. Once the nuts are removed, simply lift on the front of the engine beautification cover and pull it off of the back of the engine. Once the cover is off, we need to move a few things in order to get to the coil packs and the spark plugs. First, we'll start with this hose. Release the clamp and pull the hose off. Be careful not to break the plastic. Next, remove these hoses from their bracket. Here is a close-up of the spark plug and coil pack location on the driver's side of the vehicle. Remove the first coil pack bolt using your ratchet and 10mm socket. Next, remove the bolt from the top of this mounting bracket using your ratchet and 12mm socket. You need to have Superman powers to unscrew something this fast. Once that is done, simply loosen the lower bolt. You do not have to remove it. Now you can remove the last two coil pack bolts using your ratchet and 10mm socket. Here we're using two 6-inch extensions to make it easier. Once you are done, unplug each of the electrical plugs from each of the coils. Now wiggle and pull each of the coil packs out of the engine. Now we can use our ratchet with two 6-inch extensions and our 5/8 spark plug socket in order to remove each of the spark plugs. Time to get your Superman back on. Man, that's fast. Superman would be jealous. Now we're ready to install the new spark plugs. Stick the spark plug into the 5/8 spark plug socket and slide it into the engine. Hand thread to make sure that we don't cross thread any of the threads in the engine. Once all the spark plugs have been hand threaded, use your ratchet with the 6-inch extension and tighten them up. Before reinstalling the coil packs, wipe them down and clean them off. Now we are ready to reinstall each of the coil packs. Simply place the coil pack back into the engine and line up the bolt hole. Now we are ready to reinstall the coil pack bolts. Put the bolt into each hole and hand thread it until it's tight. Use your Superman fingers to tighten them down this fast. Using your ratchet, 2 6-inch extensions, and a 10mm socket, tighten down the coil pack bolts. Be sure not to over-tighten. Now reinsert the electrical plugs into the coil packs. Make sure they snap in order to know that they're clipped on correctly. Next, put the hoses back into their brackets. Next, we'll reinstall the mounting bracket we took off. Remember to tighten the top and the bottom. Superman! Superman! Use your ratchet and 12mm socket to tighten the bolts. Next, we'll reinstall the hose we disconnected and place the hose clamp back on. Now we'll reinstall the engine beautification cover. The back of the cover will clamp onto the mount in the rear of the engine. Then lay down the engine beautification cover onto the bolts. Screw the nuts onto the bolts and tighten them up with your ratchet and a 10mm socket. Now we need to reconnect the negative battery cable back onto the battery. Use your ratchet and a 10mm socket to tighten it up. Time for the engine start test. Sounds great. 2 thumbs up. Superman would be proud.
Well, now that was an awesome project, wasn't it? If you like what you saw today, there's plenty more videos to watch. Just click subscribe, you'll get an email every time I upload a new one. Share with your friends, embed on forums. I don't care, just enjoy it. See ya. Yes, I finally did it. Ha! Woohoo! Let's try this again. Well, now that was an awesome project, wasn't it? I mean, it was, but I just can't say this. All right. Just click subscribe, you get an email every time I make a new one. Upload a new one, make a new one. Okay, there we go. Have a great one. We'll see you next time.